Okay, hello everyone and welcome to tonight's webinar. If you're watching this later on, then it's whatever time it is. So this webinar is being recorded, so just so everyone's aware. So if you missed something that I talk about during tonight's webinar, you can always go and watch it back. If you see me moving my head around looking at different screens, it's because I'm using multiple screens to present tonight's webinar on social media 2022. So what we're going to be covering tonight is Facebook's new algorithm, sort of what to post and when. I'm going to give you a showcase of how I doubled a small business in a year without spending any advertising dollars. I'm going to show you how to use Creator Studio to schedule marketing and plan your approach, who your customers are, which social media is best for your business, and what's coming and how to stay relevant into 2022. So as part of this webinar, we're using Zoom. So at any point in time, you do have a question. If you go to the bottom of your Zoom screen, move your mouse around, you'll see the chat function and the question and answer function. So if you have a question for me, drop it in that chat and I'll come back to it regularly and answer the questions as we go. So I have that open on my screen. So who am I? I'm an organic marketing specialist. My name's Fahey. I'm also a tradie. I'm a qualified refrigeration mechanic. I'm a very bad pilot at the moment, going through and doing my license. I'm an entrepreneur, having started, created, sold, destroyed, lost, built many different types of businesses across many industries. I'm a creative director. Photography, video, anything that has any sort of creativity about it, I've done work with. And I'm also the Central Queensland Digital Solution Advisor. I'm here to help businesses grow. So what's important about that? Well, a lot of this information that you see here also connects directly to my Facebook, which I'm about to bring on the screen for you. So this is my Facebook account, my personal one. And when I signed up to it, I entered details into Facebook to let them know about who I am. Things like my age, my date of birth, where I live in Rockhampton, Queensland, and where I'm from, Green Park in New Zealand. But I've also let them know about things that I'm interested in. If I click on my About section, you'll find out a lot more about me, my work and education, who my friends are, my life events. This is all information that Facebook uses to determine what content it should send to me. It gives Facebook and generally any social media platform a breakdown of who their customer is. So the first thing you got to know is about Facebook engagement. When I scroll through Facebook, looking at the various posts, just about every third to fourth post that comes up is going to be some form of advertising. It doesn't matter where it's Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, there's always going to be some form of advertising that these platforms use to make their money. So when we start talking about something like a Facebook algorithm, it's really simplifying the multiple layers of machine learning models and rankings that they use to predict what posts would be valuable and meaningful to each individual on their platform. So when you look at the information that I've entered into Facebook, they've basically built up a profile of who I am. And they want to show me content that is the most valuable to me, as opposed to just showing things in chronological order. Like all social media algorithms, machine learning has one goal, and that goal is to keep people scrolling so they see more ads. So if you look back in time with Facebook, it used much simpler algorithms. Back in 2008, when it first launched, 2008, it was much simpler. It was based on you liked a few pages, it would show you those pages in sort of semi-chronological order. Now it uses multiple layers of machine learning to determine what content is Liam going to be most interested in. So how can we utilize that content as business owners to get our brand out the front? That's the question that really we're going to be focusing on answering today. And it doesn't matter which platform you're on. I'm going to be putting a bit of a focus on Facebook here, but they all work the same, and it's all based off engagement. So privacy. Standard setup with Facebook, what you can share, what people can see, and what your ad preferences are. So if I click on my ad preferences and continue, it's going to basically go through information about what information I'm sharing through to Facebook. So it uses this information to create the framework for what content it shows me. But I want to go into more detail. So if I come over on the right-hand side here, click the downwards facing arrow and go to settings and privacy, and then go to newsfeed preferences and go manage favorites. This is going to give you an overview of how Facebook organizes all my content based on what I click on and what I look at the most. So a couple of business pages to begin with. I primarily use Facebook for business, followed by my mum, my mum's there, followed by my wife, my mum, family, close friends, a few other businesses, some of my staff. And as I scroll through this list, I'm going to start to come across people and businesses I don't interact with as much. So the two professors, it's a local coffee shop in town. I haven't really looked at their page in a while, so I don't see their content. But if I was to click on their page and like a few things, write a comment or two, then their content would appear at the top of my list. So you probably all have friends on Facebook where you go, oh, I wonder what Frank's been up to since high school, work, university, the last time you've seen him. You jump on his page, go for a little stalk, and then you don't stop seeing content from Frank. This is that algorithm at work. Facebook's gone, you're interested in this person, this business, this particular product. I'm going to show you more content from that so you keep scrolling. And all platforms work the same. Again, if it's Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they all want to keep you scrolling. So let's now look into a business. So our business that we're going to be showcasing tonight is a butcher. And I'm going to load up their data from the last 28 days. So in the last 28 days, they've had 708 people view their page. They've got 73 new likes. They've reached 13,746 people with posts, and they've had 4,610 engagements, along with some video views and some recommendations. Ideally, you want to see the post engagement be as close to the post reach as possible. They will then let you know that content that you're putting out there is very engaging and your customers are loving it. And the more your customers like, tag, share, comment, or click, the more likely they are to see content from your business in the future. Now, this particular page, the first year that I worked with them, we doubled their business. The second year, we tripled it. And we did it without spending a single dollar on ads. We did it entirely just through putting up organic posts that our customers could engage with and would follow and would find interesting. We built a personality around the business. So if we scroll down here, you can actually see what our most recent posts are. And I'm going to go in more detail on that in a moment, but I want to show you this. This is where you can put in other pages to watch. So we'll put in a random selection of other butchers. So if I click on one of these butchers, I can see what their most recent posts are and get an idea for what other businesses in the region, the world, in Australia are posting. This is useful if you're struggling to decide what content you should put up. You want to find a business with lots of engagement, click on it, and get an idea for their content to help start ideas for what you could be posting. So a useful tool, just come down here, go pages to watch, add pages. And this is all in the Insights tab in the Overview section. So let's have a look at these posts in more detail. I'm going to click on the Post tab, and it's going to bring up the screen here. So this is going to give me an idea of what time of the day my audience is online, broken up by hour. So you notice here about 5 a.m. in the morning, everyone starts to drop off. That doesn't make sense. It's because it's in Pacific time zone. So what I do is I open up a conversion calculator and I convert it from Pacific time zone, which is in the US, to Brisbane time zone, being a Queenslander. So at 5 a.m, when the audience starts to drop off, in our time conversion, that's actually 10 p.m. in Brisbane. So we know that that's when people are starting to go to sleep. And they start to pick up again around 1 p.m. Pacific time zone, which is 6 a.m. in Brisbane. So we know that that could be an effective time of the day to put up a post. The reason being is that at this time of the morning, there's less businesses putting up posts. So it's an opportunity for us to put up something that's fresh that Facebook will go, hey, I want to share this out to our audience. You'll notice though that there's still people online in the, I'm going to assume that's probably around about midnight. There's 282 people that were online at that point in time. So these could be emergency service workers, night shift workers, mums up with young babies. This is still an effective time to put up content because they're online. We know they are. It says it right there. And if no other business is putting up content at that time of the night, that's an opportunity for your business, especially if you have online sales, to be posting because you're just about guaranteed to have some sort of interaction from your customer at that time. Now, I understand that the majority of you probably don't want to be getting up at 1 a.m. in the morning to put up a post. And you don't have to worry about that because I'm going to show you how you can schedule your post before the end of this workshop. This just gives us a general overview of when the best time of the day is to post for our business. And you'll notice that depending on the day of the week, there'll be different spikes. Now we're going to have a look at the types of posts. This is where the content that you post becomes very important. So looking at this, we can see that some of the posts have performed really well and some less so. This one here ended up reaching 5,600 people, which is the reach column, and had a lot of engagement in terms of clicks and reactions. So let's have a look to see what post this is. In this case, this one is on the new staff member, Chappie. The most valuable thing that's happened with this post is it's got shares. When your customers share the content, it will go out to their audience and the people that engage regularly with that person. It's the best way to share your message amongst a lot of people. You can see that we got a lot of reactions and we got a couple of comments as well. In terms of what is most valuable for your page, shares are always the most valuable thing, followed by comments, followed by reactions, followed by clicks. So you can see in this particular case, we had 855 post clicks, which were 22 post views, and 833 other clicks. So other click is when someone clicks like see more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the reactions. And you can see that there's a lot of people that have liked this post. And this person here has liked the post, but they do not currently like our Facebook page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on invite, and that person will now get a notification inviting them to like our butcher page. This is a great way to build your audience when you come across new people that like your page, but don't, like your post, but don't necessarily like your page. So I highly recommend if you have a post that gets a lot of attention, click on the reactions and start inviting people to like your page. It's just going to help you build out your audience. And anytime someone likes your page, you get a sort of initial boost where anything that you put up will definitely be shown to that person. And so it's your chance to engage that audience and get them interested. So shares, reactions, comments, clicks are all valuable for your page, but negative feedback is also important. So I'm going to come down this side. I'm going to click on post clicks with this downwards facing arrow. I'm going to change it to post hides, idle post, reports of spam. This is now going to give us an indication of negative feedback. As you can see, some of these posts have had some very serious negative feedback. This one here, which is a deal for Father's Day, has had 2 negative feedback, 1 hide post and 1 hide all post. The next one further down, which was a competition to win, has had 10 hide posts, 11 hide all posts. This also did reach nearly 11,000 people. So getting negative feedback on this one is likely, especially when you get a lot of shares and a lot of comments. Ideally though, you don't want to be getting a lot of negative feedback. If you're getting this sort of negative feedback all the time, your page will start to downgrade. Facebook will go, this isn't a very good page. So looking at this, we're starting to get a fair bit of negative feedback regularly. So this is an indication that we might be starting to post too much. So at the moment, this business is posting 7 times a day. 7 times a week, once per day. So I'd probably recommend to them that they drop down to 4 to 5 times per week. They'll probably get better results out of the content that they're putting up in terms of reach and engagement. So the final thing that I use this post tab here for is just to work out what posts are the most effective. This one here had a good response. So pictures of sausages with the descriptions of what they are beside them. So this would be a good post that we should do again in the future. What's another very effective one? The new staff was always a good one. This one here promoting only 90 days until Christmas. Again, this one has had a good response on it. So I would recommend doing another style post like this, maybe at 45 days to Christmas or 2 months before Christmas. So this is just very useful to quickly oversee what posts are performing well and what posts are not performing as well. So this one here did not perform very well. And as you can see, it's just a picture of me. It's a good picture, good caption, but it didn't perform the way we wanted it to. So I wouldn't recommend doing another style of pick post like that again. And we can see this when we look at our photo types. So I've got a great photo here of some 200-day barley fed state, and it got 32 reactions, 7 comments. So it did all right. But this picture here of Chappie performed massively. The next post of Reggie and Jimmy performed well as well. You tend to find, especially with Facebook, the more social you can make it, the better the response is from your audience. So I always recommend where you can have pictures of people in your posts. You've got to remember that social media is just that, it's social. So the more people you have in it, the more it looks like content they on Facebook for and less like advertising. If we look at our Facebook wall here, pictures with people in it, regardless of how bizarre they are, tend to get more attention than just pictures of products. Simply because this sort of thing looks like advertising, and this sort of thing looks more like, what are my friends doing? So wherever you can, I always recommend having pictures of people in your posts. So what I'm going to do now is talk to you about Creative Studio. This is how you can be posting your content at any time of the day without having to actually be at work. So we use this quite extensively. I'm just going to quickly check to see if anyone's got any questions. No questions at this stage. If you do have a question at any point in time, just put it into the chat or use the question and answer function. So this is the scheduled post for this business. It's called Creator Studio. Depending on which version of Facebook you're using, you might have publishing tools, which works in a very similar way. But how I got there was from our home screen, I've come down here and I've clicked on Creator Studio, which takes me into that function. If you're using a previous version, you'll have publishing tools. Which looks like this. As you can see, it doesn't work on my system anymore, but I still have my scheduled posts. So it works very much the same way. So in our Creator Studio, which is our modern version, in our pre-published tab, you'll have your scheduled posts. You can have draft posts, which are posts that you've prepared but aren't ready to go up yet. It's always a good idea to have a set of backup content ready to go. And over here, you can click on the calendar, which will give you an overview of what days you're going to be posting your content. As you can see, this one's schedule will go up every day. If we want to change that though, we do have a lot of options here. We can click on reschedule and change the time of the day that our post is going to go up. If we don't want to use this one anymore, we can click on cancel schedule. As soon as we cancel it, we'll put it into the drafts tab. If we go into the published column, these are all the posts that were published up to this point in time. So if we want to create a new post, first step is we come over here on the right-hand side, we click on create new. We go create new post. And we can put in our text, we can add our photos, videos, we can even go live, and we can put in all our various settings. So let's say you're running a campaign where for the next 2 hours, anyone that comes in and mentions the word Coke will get a free can of soft drink with their post, but you only want it to run for 2 hours. What you can do is use the stop newsfeed distribution. So you can set it that the post will only go up until a certain amount of time, and then it will stop feeding it into the newsfeed. The newsfeed being this wall here. This is your newsfeed. You can also restrict the people that can see the content. So you can say that you only want people ages 18 plus, and you can even restrict it into locations. So if your business is spread across a wide geographic range, but certain products only available in specific postcodes or regions, you can set your locations up there that it's only shown to people in those areas. You've got to remember that the majority of customers that interact with your Facebook page or Instagram page or even your TikTok are only going to be viewing the feed. This is all they're going to see. They're not necessarily going to come on and click on to, let's use Lane's Barbecue as an example. They're not necessarily going to click on Lane's Barbecue and have a look through your wall. This being your wall and this being your feed. So the majority of customers are only ever going to see the feed unless they're clicking on it. And when they do click on it, we get the Insights view. So I click on Insights. Wait for load. We get the page view as our insights. So 172 people have clicked on their page in the last 7 days to have a look at our content. That's how many you know are going onto your page. So if you're getting a lot of page views, it's because your customers are interested in what you posted previously. They might be looking for that, product for dinner or so forth. So using this function, it allows you many options of when you're posting up your content. So I'm just going to create a random post. As you can see, I'm very descriptive today. And straight away, I get the option that I can publish it, or I can schedule it or save it as a draft. So I'm going to save this incredible post as a draft and click Save Draft. And now, as you can see, my post is now sitting in the drafts section. From here, I can edit it, delete it, schedule it, preview it, and I can schedule it. So I can say I want this post to go up on the 29th at 6:37 p.m. If I click on schedule, you can see there's my post ready to go, waiting to be published. And we definitely don't want that to publish, so I'm just going to delete it now. Okay, so the other thing that you can do from here, you might have noticed that there's an Instagram tab at the top of the screen. If I click on that, I get the option to post to Instagram. I don't want to do that just yet. From the create new, I also have the option to add to my stories. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch from my main screen onto my mobile now and show you the mobile function. Just one moment while I switch on. This is a good time if you have a question to ask it in the chat or in the question and answer section. Okay, my mobile view should now be visible to you all. So straight away, I've gone into my business suite, which is the advanced app for businesses. And I've gone into the home view. So that app looks like this. It's at the very top, it says Business Suite. I recommend if you don't have that for your business, you download and install it. So in this case, it's onto our AF Constructions page, which is a local builder based in Rockhampton. The two businesses that I'm using, AF Constructions and Parkhurst Quality Meats, have given me permission to use their pages for the purposes of training and webinars and workshops. You'll notice down the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see a nice little profile picture. That's our home screen button. Next to that, we have our schedule post button. Then we have our chat button over to the right, and we have the free bars, which opens up our settings. So we click on our settings, you get all your functionality in there, but we're just going to be looking at posts. So I've clicked on the post tab, which is the one that's highlighted there at the bottom. You'll see that you have your scheduled, you have your published, and if you click on it, you have the option to see your scheduled posts, to see which ones are coming up. So it has much the same functionality as the Creator Studio, but it's a lot better for when you want to create stories. So if I click on the Create Story button, and I'll show you what stories look like in a moment, I'm just going to pick a random picture, and from here I can add some text over the top, again being very creative. And I can also add things like location, hashtag, mentions, and polls. Polls are very useful for getting engagement out of your customer. Remembering that the more likes, tags, shares, comments, and clicks, the more social media platforms go, this person is interested in this content, we need to show them more of this content. So once I've created my incredible story, I'm going to click on the Share On button. And it's going to give me the option to share the story both to Facebook and Instagram with the ability to publish now or schedule for later. So this can be very effective for reaching and engaging with your customer using stories. So to go into detail exactly what stories are, I'm just going to open up my Facebook. So when I load my Facebook, I'm met with the feed, which is quite standard, as you can see. Much the same as the desktop version, but I also have the option to view stories, which is at the top. So these are various things that people swipe through, and they can represent businesses, they can represent people, they can represent pages. So as you swipe through it, you're going to see various things. This is the main way that customers are engaging with content these days, especially when you look at platforms like Instagram. So much the same as Facebook, we have the feed. As you scroll down, and at the top, you also have your stories, which is those circles. So in this case, this first one here is from a local builder, and they're posting stories. The very second post is advertising. You tend to find that with Instagram. So stories are an effective way to show to your customers what I call short-term content. It's things that are happening immediately in your business. I recommend that stories is generally something that's more day-to-day operations, while your feed is a little bit more curated. So I'm just going to go back to our main computer screen now. So back in our Creator Studio, we have all those functions. So once you've created an incredible post, you've got it out to your audience, there's a few ways that you can reach more people with it. The most effective way is to create an audience and send out advertising towards them. But first, you really want to get an understanding of who your audience is. So a bit of demographic research is always useful. So what I've done is I've accessed the Ad Center, which is available on the left-hand side, and I've gone into audiences. I click on all ads, it will show you any ads that have ever been created. Click on create an ad, it'll take you through a step-by-step process to create new ads. Facebook generally wants you to be using ads because they want to be making money from you. But it can be effective as a business owner to reach new audiences. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to click on create audience. First of all, we give the audience a name, and then we can choose between our gender. Do we want to target male or female with our advertising? We're going to choose all, and we're going to choose the age between 18 and 35. Next up, it's given us a location. We don't want to be targeting all of Australia because our business is only based in the regional city of Rockhampton. So I'm just going to scroll down here and I'm looking for Rockhampton. Well, I believe that's it there. Now I've got two options here. The first one is I can type in the name Rockhampton. And as you can see, it's come up. Just for a second there. There we go, Rockhampton, Queensland. And I can click on that and set me at a 25-mile radius by default. And we can drop that as low as 10 miles. Now, it's in miles because Americans don't know how to count in lots of 100. And I believe 1 mile is about 2.4 kilometers, give or take. So 10 miles is about 30K as the crow flies. Now, that might be a little bit too big for our audience, and that's the minimum, especially if we're just a small local business, a coffee shop just trying to target our local region. So what we can do is we can zoom into the area that we want to be targeting. And I'm over this side of town. So I'm going to click on the drop pin button, and I'm going to drop a pin down. Again, it's defaulted to a wide radius, but we can drop it down as low as 1 mile. So it's just targeting my local sort of suburbs. And as you can see, as we change the audience size, our potential audience size has changed. So we're now potentially, we can reach 4,400 people in the area between the ages 18 and 35. And if I increase it, the audience increases as well. So this is where it becomes really useful. Let's just say we want to know how many men between the ages of 18 and 25 are in this area. So it's giving me the information fewer than 1,000. And you've got to remember, this is based on people that are on Facebook. So we might go 25 to 35. There's 1,200 people in this area between those age brackets. So this can be useful when you want to do some research on your business, especially if we use the detailed targeting. So we could say, okay, we want to target people that have a demographic in that they have an education level of a master's degree. I'm going to increase my audience size so we have more data to work with. And I suppose a master's degree, you might not necessarily have it as a 25-year-old. So I'm just going to go very broad here for my audience, and we might even make it all Queensland. The longest data will show you is less than 1,000. Okay, so what we have is an audience level master's degree of 70,000 people. Let's find out what else we can add. So financials not available in Australia anymore, used to be. Life events are though. So we can choose people that have a new job, a new relationship, newly wed, recently moved. So if you're trying to get newcomers to the region to try your business for the first time, this one could be very useful. How does Facebook know that I recently moved? Your geolocation tags would change. It would say that you were once in Townsville and now you're in Brisbane. How does Facebook know that I'm newly engaged? You might have changed your relationship status. Your fiance might have put up, yay, we're finally engaged. Those sort of things. Now, this one's one of my favorite ones, parents. You can target parents, newborns. How does Facebook know of having a baby? I think the majority of mums are guilty of putting up something on Facebook saying about their newborn baby. And from there, it just calculates the age of it going upwards, preschoolers, preteens, toddlers, etc. And if we look over the demographic, it will give us a description of how they're picking those people. So the description for new parents is people who are likely to be parents with children 0 to 12 months. We can also target things like relationship status. I've used the one complicated very successfully for florists in the past. We can also target people based on work industries. So we just want to target people in the sales category. We can just pick them out individually. We can even target them based on job title. So let's say mechanic. Sometimes you've got to be a little bit creative with the topic. Normally I get that one. There you go, welder fitter. So you can target people based on those categories. See, we have a question. Now the question is, can you target pregnant mums? You definitely can target pregnant mums. So what we could do is we could go looking through for that demographic. So we could go all parents. I'm not actually seeing that option there. Don't worry, there is an option. Come up at the top here and we just type in pregnant. Okay, so we've got a few options here. These ones I'm sure hopefully relate to a TV show, but pregnancy. People have expressed an interest or like pages related to pregnancies. So targeting them could be before they get pregnant, or could be targeting people who are interested in getting pregnant. We just want to target pregnant moms. So we've got to think about our audience and what they could be potentially targeting and looking for. So I'm going to try baby strollers. There you go, baby transport. If I'm a pregnant mum, I'm probably going to be looking for something to do with transporting my baby. Other things could be expecting numbers. You're just going to try different things and you come up with different searches. And sometimes you'll be surprised, like a very easy one to target is small business owners. And you'll see that there's a variety of different selections here, like behavior, small business owner, and interest, small business owner. So interest category is something they're interested in or showing interest in. Behavior is something they know. So they expect that their behavior is that they're a small business owner. So picking out the exact thing that you're looking for, sometimes you just have to be a bit creative with the words that you put in here. But they're broken into three categories: demographics, interests, and behaviors. So demographics I tend to find are the most powerful, followed by behaviors. So the different behaviors that you have here, things like purchase behavior, engaged shoppers. They're people who've clicked the buy now button. Travel, this used to be a very useful one, not so much now. I couldn't imagine why. You can target people based on the mobile device they're using. You know, anniversary coming up, those sort of things. Digital activities, you know, if they're playing games online, if they're a small business owner, those sort of things. And the least helpful one is interest. But it does give you a very wide selection of things that you can choose from. You know, everything from shopping and clothing to fitness and well-being, and just about everything in between. But what we've done here is we've selected out a huge audience. So if we create an ad, we could be targeting any one of these people with any of these categories, and it's pretty insane the selection that we've chosen. So what we want to do is we want to just narrow the audience down. We want to be very specific about what we're choosing. So let's choose people that have an interest in dance. I'm just going to clear some of these out. So we're looking for anyone of any age, of any gender in the state of Queensland that has shown that works as a fitter or has the job title fitter in their profile, has the interest in pregnancy, and also has the interest in dance. So they must fit this category. They're interested in dance, and they can fit either one of these categories. So if I get rid of the pregnancy one, have a look to see what our potential audience down the bottom here does. As you can see, it's dramatically dropped because being a tradie, I've never met a fitter that likes to dance. But I'm sure they might be out there. So generally, it's very useful to have a very clear and very defined audience that you're trying to target, as opposed to going broad. You want to design your content for your audience. So if we're trying to target fitters that dance, we probably want some sort of imagery of a fitter who does dance. Once we create our audience, whatever it may be, we can save it. And then when we go into actually creating our ads, we will have the option to choose our audience. So really briefly, it's got the option of a smart audience, people you choose for targeting. So that takes us back through the thing we just went through. Or you can come down here and choose one of your custom audiences. I actually have two that are named one, so not very useful for me. But let's say I don't want to choose that custom audience. I could just choose people in your local area. So I've just chose that one. And I'm going to set a budget. So we want to run an ad for 1 day, and our minimum budget is $1.39. So for $1.39, we'll reach between 71 and 207 people per day. That number fluctuates based on the number of people that are actually online and the competition for advertising. But if we spend more money, we reach more people. But if you can reach the right 71 people for $1.39 spent in advertising. That is very effective and very useful for your business. We have a question in the chat, and it's, can you use new to the area option to target tourists to your region? For that one in particular, I'd probably be using a different custom audience. So I'm going to choose people for targeting, and I'd probably try something like tourists. Not the right one. What I'd be doing, there's an advanced feature you can use in Ads Manager, which isn't a part of today's webinar, where you can target people that are traveling through the region as opposed to people who live in the region. That is what I'd be using. But if you were just using this system, then using the new to the area could be effective. But you could also try targeting things like an interest in hotels. Or if you have a particular tourist attraction in your region, which is popular, I would try putting that in there and targeting people that have shown an interest in that page. Okay, so that's enough about creating your audience. Let's keep on going. I'm going to just switch back over to my mobile view. Okay, brilliant. Let's talk about the up and coming platform, TikTok. TikTok is a massive platform that is growing rapidly in Australia. That's purely based on video sharing. It's fast growing, engages with a very young audience, and it engages effectively whether you're a person or a business. Being a new platform, it's very friendly towards content creators who are sharing new content, but it's primarily focused around the idea of sharing videos, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. And Facebook, Instagram, every other platform has definitely taken on the concept that sharing videos is important. So as a business, learning how to create videos is going to be important for the future of your content design. You'll get more effective reach by sharing that sort of content. But if we look at our video performance, so I've just picked a post which was from our butcher relating around Father's Day. You'll see that we've had 155-minute views, but our average video watch time is only 0.07 of a second. So when you're creating videos, I recommend that you have a look at your audience retention, because it's going to tell you how long they stay with your page. So I'm going to exclude 15 seconds or more. Oh, sorry, only include 15 seconds or more. And you can see that the majority of our audience does stay with our content. But if I switch this off, you'll see that they drop off quite quickly. So when you're designing video content, I generally recommend that you share content that has a strong focus. Sorry, my screen didn't come back on, did it? Can you guys see that screen at the moment? Yeah, okay, cool. You can. Sorry about that. It just wasn't coming up bordered on my system. So your videos, you want to make sure you sell your message in the first few seconds and you have something that engages and connects with your customers immediately so they stay with your video and watch it through to the end. Because you might have a video that has a couple of thousand people having watched it, in this case, 1.4 thousand people. But if the majority of them drop off after the first 2 seconds, there's not much point to it. So when you're developing videos, it's important to understand who your audience is and how they're engaging with it. So this is where going back to your insights is important. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to come down, I'm going to click on People in our Insights, and it's going to give us a breakdown of who our audience is, what city they live in, what language, what country. And as you can see here, the majority of our audience is female at 61% and 38% male. And the majority of them are between the ages of 25 and 44. Now, if you look at your own page, I imagine this information is going to be very similar. Facebook is primarily used by over 25-year-olds. Between the ages of 18 and 25, you'll get users mostly on Instagram and Snapchat. And between the ages of 13 to 20, you'll get TikTok users generally, being the main platforms they're on. Generally, the kids don't want to be on the same platform as mum. So they look for somewhere where they can express themselves independently without their content being viewed by the parents. So each generation definitely has their own platform that they love and use. The majority of business owners tend to target in that 25 plus category, so Facebook's right on your market. Instagram tends to work better for more high-end products. The competition's a lot more stiff there, and you want really high quality curated content. Your Snapchat is very difficult to actually advertise on. And creating organics is difficult because it's short-term content that's only up there for 24 hours. And TikTok has its place in advertising, but it's only very new in our region. But building a profile there could be useful. The important thing to remember is that your audience might be 25 plus, but if you start developing a presence now on the younger platform, when that audience matures, they already know your brand, they're already familiar with your services and your products. You're just going to want to make sure that the content that you do put up is engaging. If it's not engaging, then no one's ever going to pay attention to your business. That's where the stories is useful, because the stories tend to target a younger audience. So if your audience is starting to drop off or move away or retire, I would recommend start doing a few stories just with day-to-day content of what's happening in your business. And you'll find over time that your audience will start to prop up a bit. This could give you a pretty clear indication that your audience is starting to get to a point where they're not interested in your product and services, and it's time to start developing a new audience. So I'm going to go back now to another screen. We're coming to that point where our webinar is nearly finished today. So now's your time to ask a couple of questions that I will try and answer my best with active demonstrations and in an interactive way. But while you're asking your question in the chat or the question and answer function of Zoom, I'm going to let you know about your next steps for learning. So through our digital solutions program, you can get 7 hours of personalized mentorship for $44. You can meet face-to-face with experts or online through Zoom to understand how to build your business and hit your goals. Mentorship is available in social media and digital marketing, online security and data privacy, websites and selling online, and using small business software, along with information on grants, resilience and well-being, HR, and a few other things. So something like websites and selling online, if you're thinking about creating your own website, you can get some advice on how to do that. If you're thinking about taking information to a developer and getting them to build a website for you, you can find out the information that you need to know first and sort of a rough idea on what price is suitable. With social media and digital marketing, you can sit down and get an analysis of how your social media is performing and the beginnings of a strategy that you can then run with to engage with your followers. Online security and data privacy is becoming so much more important. And if you don't have two-factor authentication set up in your business, potentially you're opening the door to hackers taking control of your page completely. And I've spent a lot of my life recovering Facebook pages and Instagram from hackers. So make sure you have your two-factor authentication set up. If you don't know how to do that, for $44 you can. Small business software could cover anything from automation in your business to setting up Xero accounting software. So it's a very broad program in terms of the different advice that you can get, and you can access this program if you have an ABN that's registered in Western Australia, Queensland, and Northern Territory. If your ABN's outside this area, there's other programs that are available to you. You have to be running a business to make a profit, and you have to employ less than 20 full-time staff. So if that's you, visit by clicking on the link below. You can also, and you can't actually click on that link, I just realized, but you can also, especially if you're watching this back later, just going to pin the screen. You can also scan that QR code with your phone. And that'll take you straight to registering for your business. So that's been Social Media 2022, the overview on everything that you need to know going into the next year of social media. If you have any questions, now's your last chance to ask them. Thank you very much for attending tonight's webinar, or if you're watching it back, I hope it's been useful for your business. I'm going to stop our recording now, and I will be on for the next minute or two if you do have a question.